The Philadelphia 76ers get a massive season-changing victory over the overpowered, just full of talent Brooklyn Nets. I mean, what an upset win that was by the Philadelphia 76ers to knock off a team as balanced and full of stars as the Brooklyn Nets is just an unsurmountable victory for the 76ers, and a golden star on the resume of Nick Nurse. Just what a win that was. Now, obviously, I am joking. The Brooklyn Nets are the worst basketball team I've ever seen in my entire life, and they're bad on purpose. They're not really trying to win. This was a game that probably nobody should have watched. If you were watching it, you were just bored on a Friday and had nothing to do. You already binged the new season of Stranger Things. You already, I don't know what you were doing watching this one. I was watching it because I'm a psychopath. There was about 300 people in the live stream watching it with me, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, the Sixers beat the Brooklyn Nets. And look, I'm not going to downplay it so much because they did win, and they won comfortably, right? And coming from last season, it's always nice to see the Sixers win comfortably against anybody. Now, there were things that happened in the game that started to make me feel like it was last season, like Tyrese Maxey. The Tyrese Maxey Kyle Lowry lineup combo, or Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Kyle Lowry all on the floor together. Basically, just Kyle Lowry being out there for no reason. And there were some sketchy parts of the game. We're going to talk about the third quarter. We're going to talk about Quentin Grimes because the guy is just good and bad at the same time. It's actually impressive. And then we'll chat. We'll hang out, Q&A in the chat, things like that. Probably not a really long one tonight, but let's get into it, man. This is brought to you by Bright Medical Technology of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Bright Medical is Pennsylvania's largest medical supplier and pharmacy, specializing in internal nutrition, incontinence supplies, and ambulatory aids, respiratory products, and diabetic supplies. Works with most insurances in the state and can deliver anywhere in Pennsylvania. They offer hand delivery services or UPS solutions as needed, servicing patients of all ages. A wide array of clinical professionals on staff and 9 languages ready to pick up the phones. No call center, all staff in-house every day, ready to help enhance your health journey. They also have generic ED meds that can help you get your game back in the bedroom. Don't forget about that. If you're unsure where to go for any health supply need, call Bright Medical at 215-725-MEDS. That's 215-725-6337. Or go to brightmedi.com. And, thank you to Bright Medical for sponsoring the show. Sixers win 115-103. The big three, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Quentin Grimes, took care of business. I want to say this. The 76ers are damn lucky that Jared McCain was on the floor in the fourth quarter, because Quentin Grimes wasn't doing anything out there in the fourth. Tyrese Maxey was getting double-teamed across half court. And there were 2 possessions that I think saved the game, right? There was a big Jared McCain corner 3 in the fourth quarter that saved the game. You know, the Nets kept getting it down to like 10, kept getting it down to 9. Ogre Demon was absolutely shredding us. And I know this guy was a top 10 pick in the NBA draft, but he looked like the number 1 pick in the NBA draft against this 76ers defense. he was shredding us. And in the fourth quarter, he just started going nuts and couldn't miss. And the Nets kept getting it down to 10, down to 9. And each time they got it that close, somebody made a big play. The Nets were doing what every team should do to the 76ers, which is double team Tyrese Maxey right when he crosses half court. And when that happens, you need somebody to step up. Now, Quentin Grimes in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, exact time, he legitimately had runs of greatness and runs of, oh my God, get him off the damn floor. And in the third quarter, where the Nets made the run that every team makes on the Sixers in the third quarter, right? It was a 12-2 run, maybe. It was an 8-0 run at one point, but it was a 12-2 run. A 3 or 4 minute section of the third quarter, and we thought it's about to happen. The 76ers are actually about to give up a run in the third quarter and let the Nets back in this game. We are very lucky that the Brooklyn Nets suck very badly. I'm talking Tyrese Martin airball and layups, and got like Noah Clowney trying to ISO ball and he can't dribble a basketball. I mean, the Nets were doing really bad stuff out there. A really good team beats this Nets team by 40 and doesn't play their starters in the fourth quarter. The 76ers gave up a run in the third, and let me get back to Quentin Grimes for a second, because Quentin Grimes was kind of the reason they made that run. Back-to-back turnovers in a section in that third quarter, and the Nets make the run, right? But then the very next possession, or somebody misses a bad shot and Grimes is cherry picking, gets 2. Then Grimes comes down and goes right to the rim for a layup. So 2 turnovers, then 4 quick points, right? So I'm like, all right, is Grimes helping us win or helping us lose? Then Quentin Grimes, back-to-back turnovers again. There was such a big segment in the third quarter that was just Quentin Grimes playing basketball like he thinks he's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just head down, charging right at the defense, and it feels like it's almost a turnover every single time. And he made some great plays too, but I feel like Grimes canceled out. He's a +5 on the stat sheet, but bro, he was so bad and then had like spurts of greatness that it canceled out. Jared McCain, on the other hand, had his first 20-point game since returning to the 76ers from knee surgery. He was a +18. 7 for 16 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and the one in the fourth quarter, like I said, the 76ers were lucky for 2 reasons. They were lucky that the Brooklyn Nets are as bad as they are, because so many of those turnovers would have been points for the other team if it wasn't the Brooklyn Nets. Instead, you got Tyrese Martin airball and layups, or Nick Claxton trying to do a spin move under the rim, or Danny Wolf trying to make a perimeter ISO move, and the guy's slower than Janai Broome. So they're lucky it's the Brooklyn Nets. And then they were lucky that Jared McCain was on the floor when Tyrese Maxey was getting double-teamed in the fourth quarter, because nobody else was doing anything, and Jared McCain hits that corner 3 to save them in a tough situation, in a shady situation. That's why the title of this is It Was Sketchy, because it was. The Nets made some runs, and we were like, holy hell, are we about to give up this game to a team that is trying to lose? I also want to shout out my guy, Adem Bona. In maybe the most important moment of the game, fourth quarter, under 3 minutes, where there's enough time for the Sixers to blow the game, and we've seen them blow games in record time. They cut the lead to 9 again on a ridiculous Igor Demon step back 3. Sixers got nothing going on with the possession. It ends up Adem Bona catching the ball in the corner. Now that, for any team, is a win of a defensive possession. You force the ball out of Maxey's hands. Jared McCain didn't score on you. You got Adem Bona deep in the corner. A guy that should not be able to hit a 3 in that situation. And Adem Bona hits the corner 3 dagger to put the Brooklyn Nets away in the fourth quarter. It's just so funny, because if you would have told, I mean, just what a ridiculous game, right? Back and forth, terrible basketball pretty much the whole way. I'm not saying the Sixers played good in this game at all. I wasn't impressed with what they looked like for the most part. Now, they didn't collapse and blow the game, but they played bad for a lot of it. Quentin Grimes played bad for a lot of it. I mean, he is a turnover machine. So basically, two teams playing terrible basketball, going back and forth, and then a Dembona of all people hits a dagger three in the corner. Ridiculous. Now, you're going to look at the stat sheet and say Tyrese Maxey only had 22 points, and that's because the Brooklyn Nets, again, ran the strategy that every team should run against the 76ers, which is take the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands. And they were doing that. And they were double teaming Maxey right across half court. And he was forced to give the ball to Grimes or give the ball to McCain. They're lucky McCain was out there. And hit some big-time shots in the fourth quarter to help them get the victory. And Adem Bona, the corner three was ridiculous. Shout out to Adem for that. Adem Bona, some big-time blocks. Just looks like he's jumping off a trampoline on the weak side. You don't even see him coming. So it was a win, right? It was a win. So shout out to that. Now, I want to talk about Nick Nurse's insane amount of minutes for Kyle Lowry. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Lowry played 11 minutes in this game. And here's the problem I have with it. When Kyle Lowry was first on the floor, I didn't care that much because he was dishing the ball to Tyrese. They were getting Tyrese off ball. And there was one specific play where, they just crossed half court and Kyle passed the ball like a skip pass to Paul George for three or something. And I said, it is Kyle Lowry, and we don't really want Kyle Lowry to be playing. But it is so nice to see a pass-first guy out there sometimes, right? And you get Tyrese Maxey off ball, and it takes a little bit of it takes the pressure off of him. But then Nick Nurse continued to play him, all right? And the second unit lineup with Jared McCain on the floor, why is he running Kyle Lowry out there with Jared McCain? I don't understand it. I didn't understand it last year. Nick Nurse would run these 3 point guard lineups last year. He would have Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson, and Jared McCain on the floor together. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why he can't just let Jared McCain run an offense. Why do you have to have Kyle Lowry out there? And then he had the lineup of McCain, Maxey, and Lowry. Now, here's the thing about Kyle Lowry. He wasn't trying to score because obviously he's cooked and he can't score in the NBA anymore. But he was making it blatantly obvious that he wasn't trying to score. And everybody knew he wasn't trying to score. So it got to the point where the Brooklyn Nets were not even guarding him. They would just double team Maxey and then basically double McCain at the same time and leave Kyle Lowry standing there. And a couple of times Kyle Lowry got the ball in the paint, nobody near him, and he spun around and panic passed it backwards like Ben Simmons. And I'm not roasting Kyle Lowry at all. He's cooked. Shouldn't be in the NBA anymore. I'm roasting Nick Nurse. Kyle Lowry should not have been on the floor for that long. That is ridiculous. But they pulled off the victory. Probably pretty much because it was the Brooklyn Nets. It got sketchy. And I got to be honest. I'm sorry. I know some people, oh, you're negative after a win. Yes, I am. If this was basically any other team in the NBA, I fear the Sixers lose this game. Now, shout out to Dominic Barlow for 10 points and 10 rebounds. And in the fourth quarter, Dominic Barlow was a big part of it too, fighting for boards, chasing down loose balls, and he made a couple of big buckets in the fourth. I wish he would stop shooting the ball because Dominic Barlow cannot shoot. His elbow's out to the side. It looks painful for some reason. It looks like he's going to break his arm in half when he shoots the ball. And he shot a step-back mid-range in the fourth that I would have taken pretty much any other shot on the floor. And he shanked it off the side of the rim. But Dominic Barlow was a huge part of the Sixers winning this game because of his hustle and his rebounding ability. And, shout out to Dominic Barlow for that. Podcast P, I'm getting annoyed. And I'm getting annoyed for a specific reason. Paul George is very, very, very good at basketball. And when he's on the floor, right? And like the whole first half, you saw it with Paul George. Whether he's just making a little dribble move, a crossover, whatever it is, he puts pressure on the defense, kicks it back to Tyrese Maxey. His defender's retreating. Tyrese blows by his defender. Every time Paul George had the ball in the first half, he created something. Not just a shot for himself, but he's so good at not necessarily creating shots for others. He does create shots for others, but he's just so good at attacking, making a defense move. It's so nice to have another guy out there that the defense has to say, oh, this guy's, he's not a superstar anymore, but he's still Paul George. We got to pay attention to this guy. And then you can free up Tyrese Maxey. And his handle is really good. He's a good dynamic. He's such a good second option for Tyrese Maxey out there when he's out there. But see, he'll take another 2 weeks off after playing a game, which is annoying me and pissing me off. But he's also, bro, why is he still on a minutes restriction? Somebody tell me why. There is no more of a reason. There's no reason anymore for Paul George to be on a minutes restriction. So we're playing the Nets, and it probably would have been a blowout because, again, Paul George looked great in the first half. And adding him to the lineup with Maxey makes them pretty unstoppable, especially against the Brooklyn Nets. But then he doesn't come back in the second half because he's on a 20-minute restriction. What? Come on, bro. You're telling me this guy actually gets to just go to the game once a week, play basketball for 20 minutes, and go home for $1 million a week? Paul George tells his wife, babe, I got to go down to the center. Yeah, I got to go hoop for 20 minutes. I'll be right back. Yeah, you like all these cars? You like this house? You like all this? You like your jewelry? You like your vacations? Yeah, I got to go hoop for 20 minutes to get another $1 million. It's just so damn annoying to me that this guy's still on a minutes restriction. Because I know deep down he wants to be. You can just tell. And it sucks because he's really good at basketball, but he doesn't want it. Remember when Joel Embiid was on a minutes restriction his first couple years in the league, and there was a close game and he wasn't allowed back in the fourth quarter, and he kicked the chair on the sideline. He kicked the whole row of chairs over. You would never see Paul George do that. He doesn't care. He's like, oh, I played my 20 minutes. Clock me out. Clock me out, coach. I put in my time. I just think it's so ridiculous. But he is so good when he's on the floor. And when the hell is Paul George going to play a full game? Because, again, you went back and forth with the Nets in the third and fourth quarter. It got sketchy at times. It would have been nice for Paul George to be out there. And now we sit back and wait to see if Paul George takes the next 3 games off with, I don't know, a sore pinky, a sore ankle. I don't know. But I just wanted to say that. I guess I was being positive about Paul George because he was good in this game when he was in the game. But I'm so damn tired of this guy being on a minutes restriction. It's annoying. Andre Drummond, sprained knee. And again, shout out to Adembona for doing what he did in this game. We'll see what he looks like against a real NBA team. This wasn't a serious team to play, but he looked good. But Andre Drummond sprains his knee. It looked like Kyle Lowry was the reason for it, if you watch that replay. And he apparently was taken off in a wheelchair. I didn't see the wheelchair part, but that doesn't sound good. And if the 76ers are out Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond and have to start Adembona, I don't know where they're going at the center spot. Because the last point I'm going to make is Johni Broome is just as bad as I tried to tell you guys he was. Johni Broome was a 5-year senior for a reason. You guys are witnessing now. All you guys that came in the comments talking about, didn't you see what he did in college? Bro, he was a 5-star this, he was an offensive player this, he was a this or that. You guys are finally getting to see the difference between college and NBA. Guess what happens in college? You play an NBA player once in a while in college. For the most part, you're playing a bunch of dudes that are trying to get a degree. Right? And I'm not saying what he did in college wasn't impressive. But once you get to the NBA, the other team, even the tanking Brooklyn Nets, have a bunch of damn 7-footers in your face. You can't be 6'9" at center in the NBA if you can't jump and can't move. I don't know why anybody, including Daryl Morey, thought this was a good draft pick. The guy can't play in the NBA. He's too short. He's too unathletic. He's slow. He can't jump. He's basically balding George Niang, bro. He's left-handed balding George Niang. And it was so easy to see in that second round. I don't know why Morey drafted him. And you're seeing why Nick Nurse never wanted to put him on the floor. Because he's unplayable in the NBA, bro. He can't guard anybody, and it should have been obvious. It was obvious for me. And I'm not trying to trash him, but he's terrible. And so if the 76ers are forced to start a Dembona at center, they need to do something because Janai Broom can't be out there. A -8 in 7 minutes. What does that tell you? It tells you that the Nets went on a run as soon as he came on the floor because he can't guard the rim. Ogre Demon was laying the ball up right over him like he wasn't even there. That's my Janai Broom rant. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He can't play in the NBA, and the Sixers are in big trouble if he has to get extended minutes against legitimate NBA teams. If he looked bad against the Brooklyn Nets, oh, God. Oh, God. Now, listen. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to crack a high noon because it's a Friday night. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on the live stream during the game. Thank you for hanging out with me right now. We're just going to do Q&A in the chat before we get out of here. Anything you want to say, a question about the Sixers, doesn't even have to be a question. A hot take, a question, doesn't matter what it is. Friday night Q&A in the chat before we get out of here. This is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, DraftKings is offering 3 free months of NBA League Pass when you bet $5 and your bet wins. I use NBA League Pass for everything, every day. I'll probably be watching a West Coast game on my phone at Finici's down the street in about 30 minutes. If you want 3 free months of NBA League Pass, all you got to do is use promo code RUNITBACK on DraftKings. Bet $5. You get $300 in bonus bets and 3 free months of NBA League Pass. Again, you got to use code RUNITBACK. Be 21 years of age, be in a legal betting state. And bet $5 to get 3 free months of NBA League Pass and $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring this segment of the show. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Shout out to the chat. Let's go. Some of the notable NBA free agent centers, Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez, or are you talking about Robin Lopez? Brook Lopez plays for the Clippers. I think you mean Robin Lopez. Kevon Looney. Steven Adams plays for the Rockets. Where are you getting this list from? Or did those guys get released recently? Because I just watched Brook Lopez play. I just watched Steven Adams play just not too long ago. Do you still trade McCain? Look, my thing about when I said trade McCain, I didn't mean today. I'm just talking about anticipating the future of the 76ers. I don't see a future where Maxey, McCain, and VJ can all play on the floor together. I think the combination of Maxey and VJ is a perfect combination for the future because VJ is a defender. I don't think Maxey and McCain can survive against real NBA teams as that small of a backcourt. You can't look at this game against the Brooklyn Nets and say, oh, shit. Oh, Maxey and McCain went for a combined 41 against the Nets. now that's the future. And I love Jared McCain. I'm the one that made the t-shirts Maxi McCain 25, make the Sixers great again. But once I saw how bad Jared McCain is defensively against a real NBA team, the Miami Heat, the other night, and that's not even against any superstars. That was against Jaime Jaquez and Pell Larson. I don't think the future is Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey together for that reason. I still think the Sixers probably give it a couple years anyway. I think you bring McCain off the bench. I think next season is the third year of his rookie contract. I think they did sign him for the last year of his rookie contract, which is a team option, and I think that was a third or fourth year. Either way, I think the Sixers bring him off the bench probably the rest of this season, probably next season. But I was just saying, eventually, I think once you see the emergence of the Maxey and VJ combination, and I think McCain's potential is so high, I think Jared McCain is eventually not just an NBA starter, but a star scoring guard in the NBA, like a Jalen Brunson level. Imagine playing another small guard next to Jalen Brunson. Can you do that? No, you can't do that. Of course you can't do that. That's all I'm saying is I don't see a future where all of those guys stay on this team together. But I think the 76ers give it a couple years anyway. What do you think about Jared McCain now after the video you posted today? All right. Already said that. But I think you asked this question the same time the other guy did. But yeah, the Nets don't change the way that I feel about that. Do you think Derek Queen would have been a better pick because he creates playmaking, something we struggle with? Better pick than VJ? No. Because the 76ers were drafting the best player in the draft, the guy with the most potential in the draft. And Derek Queen's been great, don't get me wrong. He's incredibly skilled. I personally thought his lack of athleticism would affect his NBA game, but he's so skilled. He almost reminds me of Nikola Jokic in a way, where he's so good with the ball in his hands that his lack of athleticism doesn't really... He's just good at reading a defense, controlling his speed. He plays patient, right? He plants and goes the other way. Like, he's very savvy. And so Derek Queen is very good. But no, I think the Sixers drafted the best guy in that spot. I thought Ace Bailey was the guy, and I still think Ace Bailey's the guy because he's a 6'9" wing, and it's a wing-driven league. But VJ is a 6'5" wing, and he's a defensive menace, and I love his athleticism, and I love his attitude. So, but no, I don't think Derek Queen was the right pick there. And the Sixers are always drafting assuming Joel Embiid is healthy, so you weren't trying to put a big guy next to Joel Embiid anyway. Should McCain be the backup point guard? Yes. Is he too good to play that role? I think he's too good to play that role, but you have him. So you use him in the best role you can possibly use him in, and I think that is backup point guard. Now, will Nick Nurse use Jared McCain as the backup point guard? Because Nick Nurse, for some reason, is still putting Kyle Lowry on the floor with McCain out there. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Jared McCain's the backup. I think he's a backup point guard. I don't know if Nick Nurse thinks that. We'll see what happens going forward. You know what I mean? Do you think we keep McCain and trade Quentin Grimes? Quentin Grimes has a no trade clause because he signed the qualifying offer. So, no, I don't think so. Paul George and McCain for an average rebounding 7-footer and another scorer and maybe a pick. Teams have to want Paul George for that to happen. A rebounder, a 7-foot rebounder, another scorer, and a pick. That sounds like it works out for the Sixers more than it works out for the other team. But teams are probably very high on Jared McCain at the age that he's at. But anyway, any questions that don't include trading Jared McCain? The trade's not gonna that trade's not gonna happen this year anyway. Broom isn't looking too good for the last 2 games he's got minutes. Because he's not good. He's not good. He never was an NBA player. He's not good. What do you mean he didn't look good for the last 2 games? He's not good. He didn't look good in the combine. He had the worst vertical in the entire NBA combine. He's not an NBA athlete. Grimes is the odd man out for guards, but he is skilled himself. listen, Grimes was crazy in this game because he was crazy good and crazy bad. And my friend, who is a Knicks fan, told me that Quentin Grimes is overrated. And basically, he'll show signs of greatness, and then he'll be really bad. And that's what you're seeing. I mean, this guy will go from, he'll rip off 6 straight points, and then he will turn the ball over 4 times in a row. It's crazy. Oh, and thank you for bringing up Grimes again, because I wanted to say this. There was a play in the third quarter where Quentin Grimes was running what looked like it was supposed to be a dribble handoff with Tyrese Maxey. He refused to give Maxey the ball. Then he dribbled out the whole shot clock and shot a step-back contested 3 at the shot clock buzzer. There was another play where Grimes caught the ball with 3 on the shot clock. He didn't know how much time was on the clock, and he dribbled out the shot clock. Bro, how many turnovers did Grimes have in this game? Quentin Grimes had 5. 5 turnovers in the game, dude. How? This guy basically has 4 or 5 turnovers every game. I've never seen a player be very, very good and very, very bad at the same exact time. I've never seen that before. Ace Bailey's going to be average. That makes no sense at all. He's 18 years old. He just had his second 21-point game, and he's been in the league for like 15 games. He's 6'9". It's a ridiculous take that he's going to be average. Let's see what else we got in the chat, man. Why was Lowry in there? He injured Drummond. Nick Nurse loves him, dude. He can't stop playing Kyle Lowry. Lowry didn't even want to be out there. You could tell. Lowry was trying to do absolutely nothing out there. He was out there to just catch the ball and pass it to the next guy. I could do that. Put me in the game. Nick Nurse could do that. Nick Nurse could put himself in the game and do that. And Nick Nurse in pretty bad shape for his age, by the way. Just saw Andre Drummond leaving the arena, was walking a bit of a limp, but under his own power, had a sleeve on his leg. The injuries are insane. They are insane. What do you think about PG and McCain for MPJ? No. MPJ's terrible, bro. MPJ is so bad. Stop it. Stop, dude. What does MPJ give you? He's terrible. Now you're giving up McCain and Paul George for MPJ. Why not just keep Paul George? Paul George's better than MPJ. Why would you trade Paul George and McCain for a worse player than Paul George? No. What else we got, man? Grimes is too reckless sometimes. The only thing that makes sense, especially if you play Anthony Davis at the 4? What are we talking about? AD? The only thing that makes sense, especially if you play AD in the 4, you got Bona and Drummond and a bunch of young guards. You have an opportunity with the East. Who's AD? Oh, Andre Drummond? Oh, bro, AD is Anthony Davis. You can't say AD. Who calls Andre Drummond AD, bro? You. And nobody else. Let's see. If I promise to drop some weight and work on my defense, you think Daryl will draft me like he did Broom? I don't even think you have to drop weight, bro. You got this. Man, this guy called Anthony Davis. This guy called Andre Drummond AD. That's crazy. What else we got in the chat, man? Shout out to you guys hanging out with me on a Friday night. Thanks for being here. Hit the like button for me one time. PG plays 20 minutes every 7 days. Facts. What else we got? Assistant coaching job pays $100K. Riding the bench pays $3 million. That is facts. Would you trade Embiid for Ja Morant? Brother. My brother in Christ. Joel Embiid does not have trade value. Okay? He doesn't. If the Memphis Grizzlies want to get away from Ja Morant because he's a selfish, drama-starting player who can't stop pulling out guns and strip clubs, they're not trading for Joel Embiid, who can't get on the floor and is owed $150 million until 2029. Why would they do that? They would be trying to get off of Ja Morant and get something that they can move forward with. Joel Embiid has absolutely no trade value. And it's a combination of the fact that he can't play and his contract is insane. What do you think about Ben Simmons coming back? I talked about that on the video today. The answer is obvious. Ben Simmons is a chronic loser. Philly hates him. And it's absolutely a 0% chance of that happening. 0%. I know Bleacher Report posted it because it's going to get interaction. We have to get better. Guys, we got to get better. We have to get better at knowing what is posted for real and what is posted for interaction. We have to get better at it. Ben Simmons is not coming back to Philly. He's not in the NBA for a reason. The last time he played was for the Clippers. He averaged 0.8 points per game in the playoffs. He was completely unplayable for the Clippers in the playoffs. He is bad. He's been bad for 7 years. And there's Ben Simmons stans who still tell me. You guys want to hear a crazy one, bro? Listen. Speaking of this, I just want to tell you, and then I'll go back to the chat. But I just want to tell you, bro, this is the type of shit. This is the type of shit these Ben Simmons stans say to me, bro. We need someone to run the offense in Philly. As a Philly fan, we got so many lineup options, but Tyrese can't be everything day in and day out. This was a comment on the Ben Simmons post. That's how our injury cycle keeps starting. And I was like, you really think Ben Simmons can run an offense? Laughing emoji. And somebody responded and said, name a better ball distributor on the 76ers right now better than Ben Simmons. Sometimes you just need to shut up for real. We need Ben Simmons. Bro, these people are insane. And it's crazy because they love Ben Simmons so much, but they don't watch him play. Because if you watch him play, you would see how terrible he's been for the last 6 years. So they don't even watch him play. They just love him, which is gay. That's what it is. They love Ben Simmons in a male-to-male attracted way. That's the only explanation. Because it has nothing to do with basketball. And that's fine. But say that. Just say that. They like him. They think he's cute. You know what I'm saying? That has to be it. That's the only explanation. Joel bounced the ball off McCain's head in the postgame. Should we give Tyrese a break on one of these games? He should have had a break. He should have had a break for real. Why is Tyrese playing every game? Why do these dudes get to sit out every other game? Why do these dudes get to play 20 minutes? Dudes get to play once a week and on a minutes restriction for $1 million a week. Why? And Maxi's out there playing 40 minutes a game, every game, back to back, whatever else. Yeah, Maxey deserves a break, dude. But here's the thing about Tyrese Maxey. He won't take a break because he loves the game. He won't take a break. You can't. He reminds me of Allen Iverson in that way also. You can't tell him to sit out. He won't take a break. He loves playing the game. December, we have rough games. Warriors, Bucks, Lakers, Knicks, Bulls, OKC. Oh, God. All right. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's go there before we get out of here. Let's look at the Sixers' upcoming schedule before we get out of here. And thank you guys for rocking with me. There's no reason for anybody to have watched this game. And there's really no reason for anybody to be listening to this post-game podcast besides the fact that maybe you think I'm entertaining or something like that. And for that, I thank you. But let's go to the Sixers' schedule and see who they play upcoming and decide what we think about it, I guess. Schedule. Here we go. All right. Upcoming for the 76ers. November 30th, Atlanta Hawks. December 2nd, Wizards. Let's make this bigger. That's what she said. Pause on that one. All right, then you got December 4th, Golden State, Milwaukee, Lakers, Knicks, Mavericks, Brooklyn again, Chicago, OKC, Memphis, Dallas, New York, Denver. Guys, it's about to get really real for this 76ers team, and I'm telling you, they haven't looked good. They can't get healthy. If they stay the way they are right now, if they don't get Paul George off of a minutes restriction, and they don't get Paul George to consistently play basketball games like more than once a week, and they don't get Joel Embiid back, and they don't get Andre Drummond back, and they don't get Kelly Oubre back, and they don't get Trendon Watford back, they're losing a lot of these games in December. And then guess what? It's all going to come back to, is Nick Nurse on the hot seat? Is Daryl Morey on the hot seat? And we're going to be doing the same thing we were doing last year. It is what it is. We're just keeping it real. All we can do is give our honest opinions, man. Anyway, that's all I got. Sixers beat the Nets. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Hey, I want to say this before I get out of here. There is about 25,000 monthly listens on podcast platforms between Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever else you guys listen to podcasts on. 25,000 podcast listeners a month. And I don't know who it is because, like, here's the thing. Like, I see YouTube, right? I can go here. I see you guys in the chat. Now, there's 200 people watching right now, but I only see like 10 people in the chat. So most people don't even type in the chat. Most people don't say anything. If you listen to this show on podcasts, if you're listening to this the next day on the recorded podcast, I want you to DM me on Instagram at RunItBackPhilly. I want you to DM me #PodcastSicko. I want to hear from the people that have been listening to this show on podcast platforms. I want to know who it is. If you listen on podcasts, DM me on Instagram at RunItBackPhilly. DM #PodcastSicko. Can't wait to hear from you. Thank you, everyone on YouTube, for being here live and listening on the replay.